Okay, today we are playing a game on Rialto. We are in the Bronze SR range, and we'll be playing Pharah the entire way through. We are also on the console today, by the way, so consider yourself forewarned. Because it's Bronze, I don't care what our team comp is, because it doesn't matter beyond do we have a tank, do we have a healer, we do. You can see them right down here. There are, however, a couple of questions in the email. I don't necessarily have great answers for some of them, but, you know, they're here. So, first question is, do you have any advice about how to consistently do well? And you might figure this is one of those questions that's not going to get a super concrete answer, because it's kind of like a nebulous question in that way. I think a lot of it is mostly just down to mindset and kind of being able to get over it kind of quickly. Because I find what normally happens with people is that, like, they'll start doing badly, or they'll lose one game, and then it starts compounding in on itself, where it's just this starts to become this slow downward trajectory, where, like, you know you fucked up, you're upset that you fucked up, and then you keep focusing on that, and then that just slowly drives you down. And you just kind of have to try and, like, not let that get to you, which is, that'll be easy or difficult depending on how you are as a person. Myself, I don't have any issue really kind of getting over it. I don't tilt particularly easily, because I'm just kind of like, oh, well, we lost, you know, that sucks, whatever. Oh, we lost really badly. It didn't feel good, but yeah, I'm kind of over it now. Game's over, whatever. Now we start a new game. So I get over it pretty quickly, but I know people, like, I know a lot of people, and I know people personally that have a lot of trouble getting over it, and it really bothers them, and, you know, a lot of it's mindset, I think, with consistently doing well. I could also say all the general advice that doesn't really mean anything, like, oh, just practice, you know. It's only a game, just focus on improving, don't worry about the number. None of that really means anything, though, does it? It's like self-help book advice. It does, you know, it sounds great, but, like, what does it really amount to, honestly? And, you know, that's kind of what I'm saying in general as well, but I think a lot of it is just, like, you gotta be able to get over it pretty quickly, and you know, that's going to be easier, that's going to be hard for you, depending on how you are, basically. But I think that's a lot of, like, what consistently doing well amounts to, is not being bothered when something, or getting over it very quickly when something bad happens, because I find there's a tendency for people to fixate on it and then just slowly go down from there. But I don't have a super great answer for that question, unfortunately. So then the next one is kind of long-ish, but the gist of it is, I find it very difficult to contribute as Moira, and there's some stats in here. Is this decent starting out as Moira? And I tend to get around 7k healing, or about the same damage, even if I try to focus on one of them. Is this decent starting out as Moira? And I think damage-wise, that's about what you'd expect to put out most of the time. Moira doesn't really do a lot of damage. She does, like, over a really extended period of time, Moira can end up doing a lot of damage, but she doesn't do, like, big numbers damage-wise, so I'd say that's about right. That is low, healing-wise, for Moira, but because Moira, she can put out, like, really big healing. But at the same time, Moira is one of those heroes where she's not exactly hard to play, but she's hard to play really well, because a lot of it is about very small optimizations that amount to big gains over time, like letting your regen deal with as much healing as possible. Trying to, like, when you use, like, the healing, or trying to use the healing orb, to heal up big groups of people, or when you're running low on resource, it gives you the time to regenerate. There's, like, a lot of small things that add up over time, using the damage orb as much as possible to try and, like, get ult charge, so that you can use that, like, 2 more times over the entire course of the game, you know, stuff like that. It adds up, but it's sort of, the action can be quite far removed from the result, or the consequences, you know? I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. So that is low healing-wise, but simultaneously, Moira is one of those heroes where it takes a little bit of time to, like, get used to playing Moira. Like, people, when they start playing Moira, they have a tendency to not let the regen do much work. They do a lot of, like, continually holding down the heal button, which amounts to them wasting a lot of their resource, and then they don't have it when they need it. There's also a tendency to, like, not throw the orbs in a super convenient way, geometry-wise, so they end up, like, not getting full value out of that. She's one of those heroes that benefits a lot from very small optimizations, and it adds up over time. So, that's low healing-wise, about what I'd expect damage-wise, but she takes a little bit of, like, getting used to at the same time. Then the next one is it that bad to not have gold healing if there's a Lucio? And then it specifically goes on to talk about Mercy. It's not the end of the world if the off-healer has the gold healing medal. Particularly if you're playing someone like Mercy and you're spending, like, a lot of time pocketing someone. It's not that surprising if you're going to end up with silver healing. It's usually not by a particularly large margin. Like, typically I find the healers are not as far away from each other as they think they are, except in some edge case scenarios. So it's not the end of the world if the Lucio is out healing you, and it's mostly, like, you kind of want to think about, like, with a lot of stats, it varies between game to game, so you kind of need to look at it and be like, well, if I spent a lot of time pocketing someone, has the Lucio been spending a lot of time in the healing aura? Am I playing, like, a single target healer, but there's been, like, a lot of AoE damage, so Lucio's been just healing more than me by virtue of the fact he's hitting more people than I am, you know? Things like that. It isn't the end of the world if the off-healer has the gold healing. It isn't expected, but it shouldn't be as shocking as it is to people when it happens, particularly if it's someone like Zenyatta. There's a tendency for people to be like, what the fuck, Zenyatta's got gold healing? Like, do you know what Transcendence does, though? It's 300 health per second, or is it 400 health per second? It's one of those two. It's a very many amounts of HP per second, and it's typically used when there's a lot of damage going around. So, like, if the whole team is in the Graviton and Zenyatta uses Transcendence, he got, like, a real big boost to his healing number right there. Like, he probably just suddenly went up by, like, 1 to 2k, right? Depending on how many tanks were in there. So, it's not the end of the world, it's not expected, but it isn't terrible if it happens. And the last question is, assuming equal skill, who should win out of Hanzo and Pharah? And I run this fight through my mind a few times, and I just kind of see a different outcome repeatedly. I think, in general, it should be the Hanzo that wins. I guess it depends on, like, what level of equal skill we assume as well, doesn't it? Because it just says equal skill, but if we assume, like, equal skill in, like, silver, I would expect the Pharah to win. But if it was, like, equal skill in, like, diamond, I would expect the Hanzo to win. So, I think it probably, like, skews this way, where, like, the lower you are, the more likely Pharah is to win, and the higher you get, the more likely Hanzo is to win. But I think, just, like, in terms of just, if we just put the two heroes right next to each other, I think, like, kit-wise, I think Hanzo should have the advantage, just, like, on paper. But also, like, it kind of depends on what point we assume equal skill, because I mean, you can also say, well, Pharah has a pretty high skill cap as well. Yeah, that's also true, but at the same time, she doesn't get to just, like, one-shot the Hanzo, unfortunately, so. And then you have to go, well, does the Pharah have a Mercy? Does the Hanzo have a Mercy? And all this, but I think if we just take the two heroes on paper, Hanzo probably has the advantage. Assuming, like, just looking at the two heroes versus each other and, like, disregarding, like, individual player skill. Just, like, looking at the heroes, Hanzo should win. Anyway, so that was all very nebulous, all very roundabout, so now let's just start the game, where we can unequivocally say if somebody was a fucking casual. So, we see Hanzo up here, speak of the devil, and he's committing this social faux pas where he's standing perfectly still right here, which makes it really easy for him to get shot by multiple things and then suddenly die. And where he was, it was not easy for somebody to get to him and heal him. That was very... I thought we were, like, phased through the wall for a second there, but no, it's one of those tapestries. So D.Va's very much way too fucking far up, and she's gonna die as a result of that. Even when she has lost her mech, she decides to stay around. and then we push her into the river as well for good measure. We could have just shot her rather than using concussive blast, because she was like pretty fucking dead from that position. But also that's like a relatively like nitpicky complaint to make, all things considered. So they've done a lot of things they weren't allowed to do, and they're all dead now as a consequence of doing things they weren't allowed to do. Mostly, well, Hanzo was allowed to stand where he was, but he wasn't allowed to do what he did, so he died. And then D.Va D.Va's got very low self-preservation instincts, is what we've already learned, basically, here. So we've run out of fuel, which is going to make that a little bit awkward, mostly because of, like, this little thing we did right here, where we, like, use a bunch of fuel right there and then jump afterwards. So now we're in the air and we've got real low fuel, and the jump cooldown is really far away, so we won't be able to stay in the air for very long. Fuel management's not like a really big thing for Pharah anymore. It used to be a really big thing before they buffed her, not that long after the game came out. So now it's kind of like pretty easy to stay in the air forever. But if you jump when you're, like, if you're on the ground and you jump when you're already low on fuel, it's going to be real hard to stay in the air for an extended period of time. Here's a hot tip for you if you're playing Pharah and you're about to fall off an edge, because there's this situation a Pharah player can find themselves in where they've gone over the edge and they don't have their boosters, and they also don't have that much fuel yet, so they're trying to, like, get back up from the death pit, but they can't do it because they don't have the fuel to jump. If there's a wall right next to you, press up against the wall and shoot the wall, because it will give you a slight knock-up, and then that can give you just enough time to actually get the booster cooldown up, because usually you only just barely die. They did just, of course, change this slightly so that the knockback has been reduced. Again, soon you'll be able to get hit by a rocket launcher and just, like, stand perfectly in place. Because, this is the third time they've reduced the knockback on Pharah's missile hitting people. Pretty soon you'll be able to just, like, get hit in the face and stand perfectly still like nothing ever happened to you. I don't know, it's kind of weird that they keep doing this. Whatever, anyway. I like how that shattered the railings of the room entirely above it right there. That's pretty sick. So, we haven't really been particularly troubled by very much of anything that's been happening to us. This is a really dangerous maneuver that we make, not this part here. This is a really dangerous maneuver right here, because we're real low to the ground. Real low to the ground. We're trying to kill Moira, I get it. But we're real low to the ground. Both our abilities are on cooldown right now. So we have no movement abilities available to us right now to get away. And we're slowly drifting real close to the ground, right next to where the entire enemy team is going to be regrouping from. And in this specific instance, they don't really have anything that can punish us super hard. Like if Zenyatta was a little bit of a better aim, we could have gotten punished. Or if McCree got there a little bit faster, seeing as he only just arrived. But we were drifting in a very dangerous location while neither of our movement abilities were off cooldown, while the entire enemy team is going to be reinforcing from the direction that we were going. So that's all very scary. McCree is still alive, I believe. I don't think he actually died, even though he, like, definitely doesn't deserve to still be alive. Yep, he's definitely still alive. So this is all very scary to us right now, and well, we just want to get out of the way as quickly as possible. We could have concussive blast over to this doorway rather than walk all the way across this the street, because walking all the way across the street, we know McCree was actively trying to kill us, so that gets very scary very quickly, and concussive blast could have gotten us there faster. Here's McCree finally dead, even though he didn't deserve to be alive for anywhere near as long as he was. He's finally dead now. And we've got Barrage built up, but we don't really want to use it on, like, just a D.Va. So I can tell you right now that we're being flanked by Reaper, because Reaper's just killed Mercy. And Mercy was all the way over there. Reaper's not exactly a long-range hero, so if you see something in the kill feed like Reaper killed Mercy, Reaper killed Zenyatta, that means Reaper's behind you right now. And that should be concerning. We, as Pharah, do have an obligation to attempt to fight Reaper, because we do, of course, counter Reaper, being as we can be very high in the sky and not have to deal with him anymore. This all here has been very terrible and very scary for many, many reasons. First off, we've run out of fuel. Did we jump with no fuel again? We have jumped with no fuel again. which has led to us being in this situation where Reaper is below us, but we don't have the fuel to stay in the air, so we've just ended up following Reaper all the way to down to the ground, and our booster is still 5 seconds away, which is really easy to die. And D.Va's also coming right now. Here, we've already ended up in a pretty bad spot, but we know what Reaper's gonna do from this position. He's gonna go around that way right there. We can see him right now. So, the D.Va, yeah, that sucks. You know, D.Va's right here. How inconvenient. Pharah hates D.Va. Oh, God. Dreadful, terrible business. Very, very bad. But, you know what's worse? Getting shot by Reaper. So, rather than focus on the D.Va right here, my plan from this position is pick up health kit, immediately concussive blast away from Reaper. Yeah, we're gonna have to be, like, right next to D.Va the whole time, but that's better than being next to Reaper, because right now we're focusing on D.Va, backing up into Reaper. Reaper is scarier than D.Va is. Fortunately, Reaper's bad, so we actually don't end up dying. We managed to kill Reaper in the end regardless, but if the Reaper was like 5% better, we would have died right there. He's scarier than D.Va is, so we should be more focused on him and getting away from him rather than focusing on the D.Va. So this is real far away to use the barrage, which is not always the end of the world, but there's just also not, like, that much benefit to using it right now, because it's only really Lucio and Orisa, which I'm not super concerned about. Like, we shouldn't have that much trouble killing them, but maybe you go, alright, barrage isn't that great as far as ults go, so maybe I'll just use it to sync this and make sure we capture the checkpoint. Fair enough. Like, drop down closer to him to do it, though, because, like, you might as well, if you're going to use it to make sure you kill these two people, you might as well make sure you kill these two people. And just, like, get closer to him to do it. Mercy was tethered to us a second ago. Neither of those people are scary. They're not going to kill us quickly. So we can just, like, get right next to them and just, like, missiles just directly down their mouth. And then they would definitely be dead. It's not always the end of the world to use barrage from far away, but you usually want to be pretty fucking close to them, because the more spread out the missiles are, the less likely they are to take big damage. If you're close to them, they get clapped by a lot of missiles very quickly. You know, it amounts to, basically, the closer you are to them, the quicker they die. The quicker you can also die, depending on how things go, though, so, you know, I gotta be careful about that one. There's a lot of Pharah, really, is like, it can go really well for you, it can go really badly for you, depending on how, but kind of depending on, like, what the enemy team is, and, like, how much they want to focus you, more than anything else. So Tracer's pretty hard to kill as Pharah, but if you can get, like, one solid shot in, that's pretty much a dead Tracer. And it's not like she can really do much to contest you, you know? So he's just used, Transcendence, so not much to, they haven't got much to save him at this point. Their healers are also Lucio, Zenyatta, which is, like, really tragic for them. That's a very, very bad combo of healers right there. Reaper is definitely upset about that one. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna jump down for some big plays. Or, you know, I could get shot by a fucking missile, I suppose. That's also cool. So we're doing a lot of, like, we've, like, run out of fuel again while our booster is on cooldown, and then, but, like, we still want to go in while our booster is on cooldown and we have no fuel. So we've basically just, like, skidded across the floor all the way over here. We're not doing, like, a great job of managing fuel. We're doing a lot of, like, jumping at low fuel, which is basically amounting to us jumping and then immediately coming right back down again, because we don't have the fuel to stay in the air. So, gotta be a little bit more, conscious about how much we're just holding down the boosters as opposed to feathering it so that we actually just hover. A lot of playing Pharah is just, like, feathering the throttle as much as possible. It is, like, I admit this. I've played Pharah. I play Pharah sometimes, right? If I have to pick a DPS because she's not that hard to play. It's real easy when you're shooting at people or, like, actively fighting. It's very easy to just end up holding this. Let me finish this thought before I talk about that. It's very easy when you're in the fight to end up focusing on just shooting the person, and then you basically just end up holding down the jump button the entire time, and you completely run yourself out of fuel. So you gotta kind of, like, get it into muscle memory to just, like, feather it constantly rather than, like, ending up. Because I know it's very easy to do. You're fighting someone, you're focusing, you're not thinking about, like, tapping the fuel anymore. You end up just kind of like holding it down. But that can put you in some pretty bad spots pretty quickly, because you want to be like as in the air as possible. So this is happening. First off, we don't want to be in a confined location as Pharah, because that removes a lot of like the point of Pharah. We can't take advantage of our vertical mobility. But also, Moira would fucking love if we can fight in a confined location for this exact reason. That, shit, the ball's there, goddamn, oh no, fuck. And then we end up getting ran at the whole time with her. So, we end up just, like, running with the ball, which is making it as convenient for Moira as possible. We're already in a bad spot for us and a good place for Moira. Like, as soon as you see the ball, it's like, this window's the place to go. Just, like, concussive blast out here, and then just, like, jump away. Because this is the cool thing about Pharah, is that she does have 2 self-movement abilities, so you can get yourself to safety really quickly if you have to. Because in this particular situation, you concussive blast out here, then jump, you've immediately gotten away and broken line of sight to Moira, so she can't, like, keep trying to kill you, and we've gotten away from the ball. Now, are we necessarily going to survive out there? No, because we're kind of in the open air above the enemy team at that point, but that's a better chance of surviving than going this way. Because this way, it's kill Moira or die. And it's even, if you kill Moira, probably still die, because the orb will probably finish us off also. So, we've picked a fight in a bad spot for us, a good spot for Moira, and then we don't try actively enough to get out of the situation. We end up just, like, walking backwards. Concussive Blast's a really good escape. Gets you real far. Pushes the enemy away from you as well at the same time, depending on where they're positioned relative to you. And then if you jump afterwards, if there's a wall there, you can break line of sight pretty quickly. So the whole team's dead now. Very tragic, very unfortunate, you know. Such is life sometimes. We've got Barrage. This is one of those maps where it can be fairly easy to get a flank on people, because the roof... Whoa, yep, noticed him in the end, okay. The roofs can be navigated over. So it's relatively easy to flank somebody here, and like... If you can sneak up on somebody and barrage them, they die pretty fucking fast. So it takes us a while to notice the soldier. That's obviously, you know, not great. But this concussive blast is also just never really going to do anything, because in the absolute best case scenario, we boost soldier out the window in front of us, and he immediately just sprints back around the corner again, because there's one right there. So the concussive blast there is just never really going to amount to very much of anything. And then it's got a fairly long cooldown. You know, they've just buffed it, so the cooldown's lower, but, like, you don't want to end up, like, you don't want to use cooldowns for no reason, because then, hey, you just got less resources for the upcoming future, and that can end up being really bad really quickly, depending on how things go. So, anyway, we're still winning. Zenyatta's not allowed to do that. He's still alive. That's very upsetting to me, because, like, as soon as I see, like, this, I'm like, this guy, what's this clown doing? Right? He's just like, yeah, let's fucking go, dude. And he's actually still alive. So, like, this is my principal concern right here, is, like, still just shooting this guy before we worry about anything else. Because, like, this guy, he deserves to die. I don't want him to be alive any longer. And you go, well, he's gonna die anyway. Look, he's walking into our team right now while he's almost dead. Yeah, we're in bronze, though. You can't rely on your team to actually end up killing people. So I'd rather just make sure that Zenyatta dies, because... I know Zenyatta actually didn't die for quite a while. He actually survived for a while there, so I just want, like, that guy dead as soon as possible. Especially since, like, the longer he lives, the greater the chance of him using Transcendence, and then that's just a massive inconvenience for all parties involved, except Zenyatta, I guess, but who gives a fuck about him, right? He's the party we don't care about. He's on the other team. So we end up using our ult real far away, but hey, we killed a lot of people. We killed 2 people. We killed the Bongo. The Bongo's basically a person, honestly. Zenyatta's using Transcendence after everything's already happened, so this is very productive for him. Oh, fuck, there's a Bastion around here right now. He didn't even, like, notice us, so that was very easy. Yeah, I was a bit concerned about that one. I was trying to figure out if it was through the barrier or not. So we're trying to kill Zenyatta. I respect that. I respect killing Zenyatta. I just talked about it not 5 seconds ago about killing Zenyatta. The bomb kind of does take precedent, though, because if we're alive... You know, we get to kill more people. Being alive is generally a positive thing for all parties involved. So the bomb kind of takes precedent over killing the Zenyatta. We did kill him, though, so... And then we got res, so hey, don't get punished, don't have to learn, right? So we're trying real hard to dunk on D.Va right now. Like, honestly, I don't care. Here's the thing, is I don't like to focus the tanks as Pharah unless there's just, like, really nothing better to do with my time. Because Pharah is really good at killing squishy targets. She's not so good at killing tanks. It takes, like, a lot of shots for Pharah to actually kill a tank, whereas it only takes, like, 2 shots or 3 shots to kill a squishy target. So rather than focus on the D.Va, who, like, even if we break her mech, like, we still haven't killed D.Va. She's a very inconvenient hero like this. Very sticky hero. Very annoying. Very sticky and a great amount of fan work I've seen as well. So I'd rather just, like, focus on killing these people over here. These people are just, like, generally more important. Like, this is Moira. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but this is Moira. She's just, like, more important to kill than D.Va is, because she's their main healer. This is Junkrat. Junkrat's really easy to kill, especially for a Pharah, right? So, like, this lady, she's more time investment than I'm prepared to commit as Pharah. I'd rather focus on killing these people, because we can kill those people more quickly. What wonderful English. We can kill these people quicker. That's even worse. Oh my god. English is a fucked up language, okay? Don't even worry. Like, look, English is fucked up. The moral of the story is squishy targets are better for Pharah to kill than tanky targets, because, hey, Pharah's not great at killing tanks. The tanks don't pose any significant threat to Pharah outside of outside of D.Va, but simultaneously they just take a fucking long time to kill, dog. Whereas that Junkrat, you know, he's not going to take that long to kill, and there's not much he can do to us either. And he's just easier to kill. I like to kill the easier to kill targets first, because the easier to kill targets tend to be people like Zenyatta, who are easy to kill, but also very bad to let be alive, right? Their existence, the blight they inflict upon this planet should be removed as quickly as possible, basically. So Junkrat's managed to just kill Hanzo because he's walked out onto a trap, presumably, so he's upset about that one. He's immediately tilted as soon as the round starts, because, man, when you walk out the front door and you step on that trap and you die, what do? You go... And then it's all downhill from there, as we established at the start of the video. So D.Va just got bumped off the edge by Junkrat, so quite a lot of things had to go wrong for D.Va for that one to actually happen, didn't it? That's very unfortunate for her. She's upset now. I hate attacking Rialto. I hate this fucking death bridge that you have to go over right at the start, right? Like, I keep saying it. The most obvious, like, balance adjustment you can make to Rialto, because clearly some is required, right? Like, the attacking team wins, like, a ridiculously low amount of the time. They win, like, it was something ludicrous, like 42% of the time the attacking team wins. That's absolutely unacceptable for it to be that much of a discrepancy between attack and defense, right? Easiest thing you can do to this map, make these walls unbreakable. Also, I banged the table, I'm sorry. Make these walls unbreakable. Easy change, because then at least you don't have to do this fucking death drop right at the start. Because, like, how many times you tried to walk across this bridge, and the enemy team's been like, Pharah, Bridget, Orisa, D.Va, and then, like, you try Lucio, and they just go, like, and, like, one of them's gonna knock you off, right? Like, it's... Make these walls unbreakable. At least then you don't have to do, like, the big death drop right at the start. I think the map has other issues with it associated as well, like this giant fucking Death Star tunnel that you have to go through for the rest of the checkpoint before you get to the big open fucking kill field courtyard. But, like, this is an easy fix. Make these walls unbreakable. And it's not like they can't do that. Like, right over there, that bridge that's over there, the walls are unbreakable. Just do the same thing over here. This is egregious as far as map design goes. Like, it's already, like, scary enough for this checkpoint. You don't need to also worry about getting pushed off the edge constantly. Anyway, so Hanzo's in the window on our left right there, standing perfectly still again, which, as we've established, is a social faux pas. He's, like, right here. So, I respect all this for shooting people right now, but, like, this boy, he is currently the easiest person to kill, and also, being Hanzo, a high-priority target. And it doesn't look like we ever actually noticed him. He's now, like, slowly advancing over. Now we've noticed him. Pushing him that way doesn't really accomplish anything again, because really we should just be shooting him rather than trying to knock him somewhere else, because, like, he's in a nice, convenient location for us to shoot him. He's not looking at us, he's looking at somebody else. He's really close to us. He's easy to just, like, shoot a couple of times and kill right now. we don't need to worry about concussive blasting him somewhere, because if we just kill him, death is the strongest form of crowd control in the entire game, so that's easier. That's like a more simple solution than concussive blasting him, which didn't really accomplish much of anything. So our team has started to die, which is very unfortunate. We're not long for this world, because we're behind the entire enemy team right now. A bunch of our team has died. Everyone did die very suddenly, to be fair. Yeah, not really much to say about that one. Elevator music was kind of playing on my mind for a little while there. Basically, that all got very sad very quickly. But, you know, that Hanzo, we should have just shot the Hanzo, rather than, like, knocking him somewhere else. I do find Pharahs have a habit of concussive blasting, like, unnecessarily, just kind of like for the sake of concussive blasting someone. When, if you can just shoot them instead, that's a much more simple solution. So I'm not sure why we've gone, like, all this way over here. Like, I understand this maneuver, like, peeking over the top and shooting down at the nut. That's fair enough. But, like, we just, like, keep going this way, which is not really doing anything except putting us further and further away from our team, which is going to make it harder for them to help us if we end up in trouble, and make it harder for us to escape if we have to as well. So, as well as, like, not really giving us any kind of, like, specific advantage, because the entire enemy team is just, like, at the bridge. They're not, like, this far back. So, that was a very peculiar maneuver we made to go all the way over there. It didn't really get us anything. It just kind of like put us in a really weird position. I thought D.Va was going to throw herself into the river for a second there. So we've had concussive blast off cooldown this entire time. Finally figured to use it, but it was like too late by that point. Oh, she's going to live. Yep. We could have concussive blasted away from that situation significantly sooner than we tried to, and we would have lived, and then Mercy wouldn't have had to res us. Mercy did res us, so, you know, didn't get punished, don't have to learn, but we could have just not died, quite simply there. So we're really far away when we use Barrage again. That's one of those situations where I think it would have been a lot better to get closer to them first. Just because these targets, like, we're doing it from really far away, and we're trying to, like, principally we're trying to hit some quite small people. So it's, if you're trying to, like, track people with the ult from far away, you end up not usually doing that much damage to people. So that one would have been better to get closer to them for. And it's not like they're explicitly that threatening to us. And now they have a Widowmaker, however, which is scary to us. So there's a tendency for people to, oh, no, we shouldn't be going this way. We should just be backing out. Like, going this way? No. This is Scary Town over here. And then, oh, look, shit, here comes the robot. We could have just, like, left. We could have gone upstairs and out the back way if we were, like, really concerned about it, like, just going out the back way. But, like, we need to be going back, not forward. So there's a tendency for people to be like, oh, you gotta change off Pharah, there's a Widowmaker over there. It's not the end of the world. You just have to actually play around the fact they have a Widowmaker, and the Widowmaker basically has to be, like, really high on your list of priorities. But as long as you're, like, still playing around cover and, like, focusing the Widowmaker where possible, it's not actually the end of the world for the Pharah, especially if it's a map that's kind of convenient to flank them. Like, this map is pretty convenient for flanking. If you can get the drop on the Widowmaker, you're going to kill the Widowmaker most of the time. Unless the Widowmaker's a god and, like, has the reactions and skill to just, like, turn and shoot you when you try to flank her. But, like, if you can get the drop on the Widowmaker, you're probably going to kill the Widowmaker. And as long as you're just, like, playing around cover and the fact there's one over there, it's not the end of the world. I've just heard Bastion turn into a tank somewhere, so that's kind of spooky. We're trying to track down Moira. We've not found Moira, but we have found Zenyatta instead, which is honestly an improvement as far as targets go. So Moira's very difficult to kill. She's, like, a very survivable person, so... And then, you know, we'd have to go into that small, confined location to try and fight her again. It's not the end of the world if we just, like, let her go. It was going to be hard for us to kill her from that position. We've almost got Barrage built up again. Orissa's getting real close to the river, but unfortunately not close enough for us to push her in. Because, you know, you can't actually fall down these gaps right here, tragically enough. But she was, like... She ended up in, like, a real fucked up position, so she was pretty much definitely gonna die. Tried to push Bastion off the edge, but he turned into a turret, so we couldn't kill him. So here's, like, a situation, like, we could just be shooting this boy. And, like, you know, dodging left and right to make it harder for people behind us to shoot him. But, like, what we do is, like, the most dangerous thing possible, where we slowly drift above the barrier, and now he can shoot us. He could not shoot us previously. That was their Zenyatta, by the way. That was just ran past us, so I don't think we noticed him. Like, we definitely didn't notice him, but there's Zenyatta was there, right there. So, drifted over the barrier. Shouldn't have done that. We should have just, like, stayed on the ground and shot him through the barrier and, like, dodged left and right because Zenyatta's behind us trying to shoot at us right now. So, we want to make it harder for him to shoot us, but, like, doing this, that's, like, the most dangerous thing we could do. Fortunately, he, like, doesn't do anything to us, so we get away with it, but, like, he should have killed us for that one. Like, we just slowly... We were in a position he couldn't shoot us, and we put ourselves in a position where he could shoot us. And then we didn't notice the Zenyatta, you know, that's sad. Awareness. Ooh. Game sense. Buzzwords. Jesus Christ, Reinhardt, calm the fuck down. It's only D.Va and the mech that's mostly broken. Calm the fuck down, my friend. So, Moira's using Transcendence right now. We use Barrage. This is like from an angle where I'm surprised we killed anybody because they're really close to like something that just breaks line of sight to us because there's the wall right there they can go behind. Fortunately, Orisa just keeps walking forward, so we kill her. But like that's the kind of position where I'm surprised we killed anybody because they could have broken line of sight to us quite easily, but Orisa just kept walking forward. So we got somebody with it anyway. Sebastian's down there, that's spooky, but like right now, hey look, we just found Widowmaker, we'll kill her instead. She's easier to kill right now. Nice, killed Widowmaker, don't have to worry about that one for a little while. This is all very inconvenient stuff right here. Bastion hanging out in the middle of the Transcendence, can't really like kill him, but it's okay, he's gonna die in the end anyway, now we can kill the others. We did just jump right as she used self-destruct, but miraculously enough, we did manage to survive. Now it's just Orisa over here. I think Orisa's the only one presently here. Nope, somebody's still contesting the payload. Who is it? Somebody is contesting the payload. We're more concerned with Widowmaker right now. I like honestly, that's fair enough for Pharah. But it was Lucio. I guess that's, you know, I guess in hindsight, why am I surprised it was Lucio, right? But honestly, I think killing the Widowmaker was probably the correct play overall. It's not like Lucio's going to kill everybody on the payload and capture it, right? Like, the Widowmaker is the scarier person in that situation, especially to the Pharah. So we've almost got Barrage built up again. They've been doing a fantastic job of staggering themselves so far. We've just found Bastion as he's putting on his tank pants. I would wait for him to be not a tank to do this, unless we're in a position where, like, we're gonna kill him quickly, right? Because it's very easy for, you know, all he's got to do is shoot us once, it's all over. So if we're going to use Barrage from this position, we can see what he's going to do, right? So here's like the two lines I see, because like we had it right there. So we know he's going this way, he's going to go like this way and come around here. So we could like swing closer to this gap and then like barrage him as soon as he pokes his face out one of these doors and just like kill him quicker than he can kill us, hopefully, right? Or just wait for him to not be a tank anymore and then use Barrage. Because as soon as we're a stationary target, it's free real estate for him. Like, he's just got to look at us and get one shot. It's all over. So we got to either, like, try and kill him faster or just wait for him to not be a tank anymore. And then he's a significantly smaller risk to us. Do they capture it? They shouldn't capture it. I don't remember if they capture it. They shouldn't capture it, but I'll be, you know... Just because they shouldn't do something doesn't mean they won't. Yep, we C9'd it. Yep, In this kind of situation, like, just touch the payload anyway. Like, I know it's not really our thing, but, like, the only way they end up capturing the checkpoint from that position is, like, if we C9. So we want to, like, minimize the risk of C9ing as much as possible. Like, just touch it anyway, just in case. So now they have a Sombra. This is also of moderate concern to D.Va. Well, yes, but also to Pharah. Because she can hack us and then we can't fly anymore. And her spread, ever since they buffed her spread, if you know what I mean, giggity, it's real easy for her to actually, like, kill a Pharah. So Sombra does counter Pharah, tragically enough. We've been doing a really good job of, like, dunking on Widowmaker so far. Like, we've caught her off guard a couple of times right now. So, yeah. And you can argue, is it us playing well or is it Widow playing bad? You know, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, probably. But, like, we've been doing a good job of, like, killing Widowmaker at the earliest given opportunity. And, like, she hasn't killed us at all, I don't think. I don't think Widowmaker's actually killed us. I've definitely never felt threatened by Widowmaker at any point during this, and I mean, I guess I wouldn't. I wasn't playing the game, so, you know, it's hard for me to be threatened from something that happened in the past, right? But I haven't felt threatened by Widowmaker this entire time. Oh, poor Diva. She was like milliseconds from getting back into that mech. It was a little bit of a weird jump right there. Here comes Moira. She's running forward just to touch the objective. Here comes Zenyatta. He's running forward just to touch the objective. Ended up having to reload at an unfortunate time. Here comes Transcendence. So, yeah. Took a little bit of time to get there, but I think we all saw where that one was basically going to go, and that's fair enough. I think somebody was behind us, but they didn't actually do anything to us. And now there's not many people alive. Like, basically no risk of C9ing because it has to go, like, real fucking far. And they're not going to get to touch again. No touching. Hooray, we win the game, although not by a particularly wide margin. Though, you know, C9, without the C9, it wouldn't have been that close, I suppose. Stupid monkey brain, like, you know, an extra, like, 5 feet away, right? Like, that's too close. That's not close at all. 5 feet further up. Oh, God, it was so close. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. One extra turn. Oh, goodness. Yeah. You can really tell when someone isn't that confident on Genji, can't you? Just by, like, that kind of play of the game. So, thing that stood out the most, basically, it was just how we used our fuel. I don't think we managed our fuel particularly well. So there was a lot of times where it jumped with no fuel, and then like basically immediately came back to the ground. Like, and then there was a time where there was a Reaper below us, so it was very scary indeed. So not worrying about our fuel that much was like the biggest thing that stood out. And then like cooldown management, because we ended up using Concussive Blast just kind of for the sake of using Concussive Blast a few times, which isn't great. Like using the jump badly kind of ties into the fuel thing at the same time. Yeah, the fuel thing was the biggest thing, and then like not using our cooldown super well was the big other thing. The barrages weren't great. Basically, there were a few times where we should have gotten closer to do it. Like, there are times where you do want to use barrage from far away, basically to minimize risk of dying, or being closer doesn't necessarily make it that much easier for you to kill them. Like, if they're, like, in a graviton, yeah, if you're closer, you'll kill them quicker, but if you barrage from some distance away, but they're in the graviton, like, they'll still die regardless most of the time. Like, it's unlikely they'll survive still, so sometimes it's worth it for the increased survivability, or because it just isn't going to make that much difference if you get closer or not, in terms of time to kill. But there are also times where, like, you do need to be close to them to kill them quickly, where, like, if you gotta kill, like, the Bastion before he kills you, right? Being right next to the Bastion is going to result in him dying almost instantaneously. So there's times where, there's, like, a lot of times where you do want to be right next to them. And if you're flanking people with it, obviously you want to be right next to them, because then it's just like, hey, bam, you're fucking dead already before you even knew what the fuck. But those are the things that stood out the most. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I answered your questions from the email inadequately, please let me know. I will try to expand further. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us, and I hope you found the video helpful.